I could see like the future with the glasses. It's so cool. I get so excited when people are talking about the AR glasses because that's the industry that I'm most focusing on. And I'm not going to take too much of your time. So Ashika, blow us away with this presentation, and I'll pop back in for the Q&A section.
Sure, awesome. Thanks, Casey, for the introduction, and of course, giving us this platform to showcase our vision and to sort of help people understand how we are democratizing AR and VR, and taking the next wave of spatial computing to not just enterprises and developers but also to consumers. So let me quickly set the agenda and give you guys some pointers as to what you can gain from this talk essentially. So the first thing is that I will be introducing you to GeoTesseract and what and the kind of XR ecosystem that we're building to elevate how people work, learn and play currently. Then the second thing that you will gain from this talk is how can three of our key stakeholders, which is developers, consumers, and enterprises, gain from this ecosystem and platform that we're creating. And of course, then the third thing that you will understand is how 5G and XR are coming together, what is enabling it, and what is the importance of building content which is 5G ready that we can drive with into the future of technology. Cool. And of course, to all those who are listening and to all who are participating, I would really like this session to be interactive. This presentation I will keep at about 20 minutes, and I will encourage questions and thoughts and ideas from all of you guys, because I genuinely believe that innovations come from conversations. So after the talk, happy to take your questions and thoughts and drive the conversation from that point on. Okay, so to start with, everything that we are doing in 5G or XR is coming back to something that we are working at, especially for example, I am managing strategic developer and content partnerships at GeoTesseract, and GeoTesseract is the largest XR company of India, and we are the AR and VR arm of Reliance and Jio. Reliance, for those who are not familiar with the Indian territory, we are India's largest private sector company, and Jio is the largest telecom network. And what we are working towards is that we are democratizing mixed reality by bringing meaningful XR experiences and affordable devices for consumers and enterprises. Our goal is to unite enterprises, content studios, and developers to accelerate the adoption of XR in India and globally. And of course, we want to leverage the power of the next wave of computing by, allowing people to get access to these technologies so that they can elevate the way that they work, they watch, they learn, and they play. Now, let me just take a step back and give you a glimpse of the larger Jio ecosystem within which we work. So it's not a mystery of how Jio has basically become the largest telecom company in this country. It has happened by a simple trick, which is basically reducing data to less than close to $4 for unlimited data every month. And this is also how we have enabled 80% of this country's population to get access to internet that they had never seen the light of before. And to think of it, in the last 5 years, we have grown to become the largest digital community in the world. And how that has happened is that we have three key components of our connectivity, which is 4G, fiber, and 5G. And 4G, just to give you some hard-hitting numbers that will help you understand the value of the connectivity ecosystem that we build here, is that across 4G we have 450 million plus users. In 5G we have 250,000 towers ready, where the service will start rolling out towards the end of this year. And across fiber we have 3 million active users like users when I say is households, which is also growing at a rate of 20,000 households every week. So imagine the kind of audience base that we are building, not just in across phones or TV screens, but also adding the another layer to it, which is AR and VR. Now coming to the very specific XR ecosystem that we are building. So what we are doing here is that we're not just a product company, we are essentially a platform company. What I mean by that is that we're building our own metaverse, which consists of these different layers in the technological stack. Starting right from the device layer, which is GeoGlass. We have our own OS and cloud and mixed reality. We have platforms, applications, and software across gaming, learning, productivity, shopping. And the most important layer that we have here is that of connectivity, which is 4G, 5G, and fiber, which is powering this entire ecosystem. And through this ecosystem, we have a very simple goal, which is that we want to make AR and VR and XR and 5G, like all of these buzzwords that we keep listening about, affordable, accessible, and available to consumers, developers, and enterprises, so that all of us can together come and accelerate the adoption of this industry. Now, coming to the gist of this talk, which is basically the XR transformation through 5G. Now, 5G, I believe, has 4 important pillars, and that is also what we at Tesseract are working towards. So the first one is, of course, XR devices. The second one is experiences. The third is a community. And the fourth is XR connectivity. So let me start with the first one, which is XR devices. The first one in the VR space that came out was the Cardboard, and in the AR space was Google Glass. And we have come a long way from that to where Facebook and Microsoft and Google, they have driven this space by bringing HMDs, especially in the consumer arena, that has driven the adoption. And last year we have come up with our own homegrown MR device, which is GeoGlass. And I can say that this is like a huge progress, given that I come from a time of VR documentary filmmaking, where we used to have one rig with 6 GoPros on it, and we used to use that to shoot one screen. And the editing part of it and stitching will entirely take about 3 months, and the output of it is what we could see on the Google Cardboard. And now at a time when we can just wear one of these glasses and experience content, not just one film, but thousands of experiences which span different categories like healthcare and wellness and learning and shopping and entertainment. I think it's a huge leap and progress into the whole industry that we have made. And of course, adding to that, the whole idea about the device, the XR device here, is that it needs to come to a holy grail device, which is, in a lot of ways, it has to be lightweight, it has to be portable, it has to be convenient and easy to use, it has to have amazing sound quality, it has to have an audio that will basically help you bounce. So the idea here is to have that device in which people can view and experience content anywhere and anytime. Now, the second pillar that is very important to enable and to drive the XR devices that are there in the market is content. Now, content is important because at the end of the day, the hardware is simply a device, which is so I'll take another step back here and give an example of the smartphone. So the smartphone is, at the very least, it's simply a calling device. But the reason why we are spending 4 to 5 hours on it daily is because we are using WhatsApp, we are watching TV shows and movies on Netflix and YouTube and Amazon and Uber. And ultimately, it is these experiences and applications which is driving the whole 2D ecosystem. Similarly, if we want to help grow the XR ecosystem, we need native AR and VR applications, especially with use cases that will enable users to repeatedly use HMDs and incorporate their use in their daily life. So to give you an example, at Tesseract, we have built about a library of more than 150 native AR and VR applications, which enable users to, say, for example, if you want to go on a date in Paris, you can do that virtually. If you want to just de-stress yourself, you can enter one of these applications and use the meditation module in AR that will help you reduce depression and anxiety. If, for example, you're just in a fun mood and you want to play cricket, yes, you can also do that through our glasses. If, for example, you want to do, let me talk a little bit about custom Indian content, because so far this space has been dominated by the sort of the Western companies, and to talk about content which is custom made for specific markets, let me talk about this experience which was made by one of our developers. It's called a 3D Mandir, wherein people can enter that virtual temple and they can conduct end-to-end rituals of the Indian tradition. So I think whenever anybody is thinking of content and experiences, I will always encourage them to think of, first of all, is it even useful in the AR and VR space? Is it something that a consumer will repeatedly come to again? And third, of course, is the business case. Is it an application that you will want to pay money for? So if it's ticking all of these three things, then it's a great content and an experience and use case for both XR and 5G. Then third thing that is very important to basically drive both experiences and the HMDs is basically community. Because at the end of the day, now when I talked about that entire ecosystem stack of metaverse that I was talking about, each individual entity, if they work single-handedly, I don't believe that they will be able to accelerate this space. So it's very important that all of these different entities across different layers of metaverse have to come together. They have to work in tandem with each other so that the whole industry can grow together. And that happens when we as a community come together to build experiences, to help each other get access to the right technologies. And in that process, what we also have done is at our end is that we've built a community at the very core of it, which is developers and content, the people who are basically going to be driving this ecosystem of 4,000 developers in the XR community. We have where they, which is also to, at the very least, it's the largest XR developer community in India, and this community has published more than 150 native AR and VR applications. And this is a great achievement, I think, not just because we as a platform have given them the space, but also because of the passion and the talent that this developer community has to grow and enhance the space. So just to sort of continue more on the community and partner ecosystem, we as a platform can only give you the right can give you access to the right audience in the Indian market. We can give you help on getting access to the high bandwidth, low latency networks. We can give you cloud storage, but ultimately, partnerships are all about helping each other grow, and we really want our partners and anybody who joins our community to grow. And there are multiple ways that we have enabled for that to happen. So just to start with, of course, we want to upskill people. We want to grow the awareness in this space so that at least people understand what the metaverse is, what is happening. And while there are peers in this industry who are already enabling that, just to give you an example, Facebook with their name change to Meta and creating that awareness has set the stage for us. And I think that's great because we get that ability now to go straight to the consumers and tell them that yes, this is what metaverse is and this is what we're bringing to them. And more than that, it's that creating that awareness and upskilling people. It's about giving developers our enterprise partners the stage to showcase what they want to do and what they're doing and the capabilities that they have. It's also about telling the stories of the people who are growing this industry, because at the end of the day, technology is what is shown to the outside world, but the people who are working behind it, the ups and downs, the struggles and the achievements that they've sort of come to is what is shown through the storytelling. And of course, we also support people through every sort of milestone that they achieve, and that is displayed on our Discord community. And last, of course, but not the least, is the connectivity layer, which is 5G. Now, what I strongly believe is that AR and VR If you think of it, these are 4K, 8K experiences, which also include volumetric capture, they include holograms, and all of these combined together are very heavy data experiences. 5G, on the other hand, is a very complex and a dense network. So what I believe is that, like, having heavy data experiences and a complex network come together is almost like a marriage made in heaven, wherein, like, 5G, what it provides to XR is three key things. One is, of course, like, cloud computing. The other one is ultra low latency. And the third thing is ultra high bandwidth. Now, what this really helps XR experiences with is, first of all, constant and uniform behavior. Now, think of YouTube. How would you have, like, felt if, like, how do you generally feel when, YouTube, it runs, when a video that you're watching on YouTube, it runs in a very staggered and a very, like, it keeps stopping every time, and there's this like circle that keeps coming, right? That's very irritating. So 5G, one that comes in, is not only going to help elevate 2D experiences but also 3D experiences, to give you a consistency and to give you that uniform behavior throughout your viewing experience. Then the third thing which comes with 5G and XR is basically the portability. It gives people the ability to basically view and experience 5G content anywhere and anytime. And the third thing is basically that, it's highly portable, and of course, like, there is connectivity not just in the urban areas but also in rural places, where, like, you can stream seamlessly some of these 5G experiences. Just to conclude, some of the things that I have talked about in terms of 5G is that, first of all, and to summarize it, like, we have ultra low latency that allows for lighter and so small form factors, and then it gives you high bandwidth and ultra low latency for especially volumetric 6-stop and 8K content. And the last but not the least, what has happened so far, and that I believe is the way that 5G and XR experiences can especially come together, is that, like, so far, the telcos and the networks have driven the content and the product strategies. But I think this is the first time that we as an industry and XR has the power to drive innovation the other way around. Like, we can dictate how 5G can be helpful to us and drive innovation in the 5G space. So just to come to make it all come together, for 5G and XR to come together, we need devices which are portable, lightweight, easy to use, which can where people can watch experiences anywhere and at any time. And this will be driven by a community that wants the space to advance, and it will be powered by the power of 5G. So yeah, that's that from my side. Happy to get into a chat with Casey and talk about XR use cases which can be powered with 5G.
Yeah, awesome. I think I have like the first question. Tell us a little bit more about like this product like roadmap and how developers can get their hands on it and start playing around with it.
So we have a developer program which we've been running for the past 1 year. It's an excellent program wherein we give people access to, of course, resources, SDK, technical documentation, but also guidance and mentorship. Now, how to answer your simple question, how to get a pair of the glasses. So the first step is to developers to enroll into this program. I'll just share a link for that here. How they can enroll into that program. What we do is that they have to then submit us a concept of like an XR experience that they want to build. We sort of we brainstorm on it internally. We understand if this has a feasibility, both in terms of experience usability and in terms of a business use case. And then we come back to the developers and we say, yes, we are ready to partner with you. And once they're in the program, we give them access to emulators, to our dev kits, and we start working with them.
Excellent. So I'm just putting here the link on the stage for anybody. I believe if you hover over it, you'll be able to click on it. I also want to ask about like the developer program, maybe a little bit more, since some of the developers haven't asked any questions. It's just so with the submission of the kind of like app developers? Are most of these like developers working in development shops, or are they like independent developers?
So we have a very interesting mix of developers here. Um, if you think of the larger developer community worldwide, AR and VR is still new, so the whole universe is not very big, and most of these are actually VR developers. However, I'll divide it into two parts. So one is, of course, developers who are well equipped, and these are the AAA studios. They are indie studios, so they have the talent and the skills to already build these experiences. And the second part is that the first thing that we talked about in building community is empowering and upskilling developers, which is what we are also doing. So it's a new industry, especially in a country like India, and we are giving people the resources to learn how to build AR and VR applications. And we are also partnering with a lot of big and established studios. So to answer your questions, these developers who join our program, they range right from anywhere from student developers to enthusiasts to indie studios to AAA developers, and the big studios also, who have some leading applications on Android and iOS, and they're very keen to build 3D applications.
All right, so it looks like we have a question from the audience I'm going to show here on the stage. Question is from Rihan. He's in India as well. Yeah, Rihan. How do we see the adoption of XR in the Indian market, and how to get the public onboarded to this new form of HCI?
So I think the first thing with this is the awareness part of it. It starts with, are people really aware of what AR and VR is? So if they are, great. Then if they're aware to it to a certain extent, then they already know certain use cases. And if you want to talk specifically about the adoption of XR, as I said, content irrespective of platform is going to play a very key role in growing this industry in the Indian market. So like the smartphone market, it's similar. So content additions and content adoption, and that starts with, again, going back to something very simple. It's about putting some content in the market to understand if people are enjoying it, if they don't like it, what about that particular application are they enjoying or not. Once we have an analysis, then we want to sort of take that to the larger public and grow into it. Now, to answer Rihan's question in a different manner, what is going to happen is that the adoption is going to happen twofold: XR devices and content. These two things, if they come together along with scale, is what is going to help this industry grow in India. And scale, as you know, Gio, I don't think you would have another question on scale.
Oh, fantastic. And I was just thinking about how this, the scale aspect of it, when you talked about the customized content, how a lot of that content is, from the Western markets. So building, Indian-born content, there's actually like an unlimited possibilities just in India when you think of the different dialects and the different languages and the different cultures within India, depending on the area. I think that is like the massive opportunity as well in repurposing content for different languages is just within India. Yeah.
Well, in fact, in the audience here, we have one of our key developers, Vishwajit. He's from Novelty VR. And, he has actually been building some very custom Indian content for the platform. So this very popular game that we play a lot is Ludo and Snakes and Ladder. So these are our childhood games. Yeah. And he has he understood that it has to be an end product, and he has built that particular application in 3D. He's also the person who has built the Mandir application as a temple application wherein people can enter and perform rituals of ceremonies. So yes, you're right. There's a huge market for custom Indian content. In fact, that is also what scales really well in this market.
Yes. Oh wow. Yeah, that's why I'm like, I need a pair, and I need to check out all the Indian content myself too. I think this is a really interesting kind of like the point in time. If we look at the explosion of Netflix, especially when it came to like the Korean content and how Korean content actually became popular worldwide because of Netflix.
Yeah.
Maybe this is what's going to be like, it's going to be because of Geo and AR that's going to make Indian content so popular around the world. Maybe that would be pretty cool.
That's an interesting take. That is such an interesting take. Like, we have not even thought about that, but that's true. That is very much possible because given the scale that we have, and if we take this product, which I believe then, and I strongly believe that this is not just an Indian product; it's a global product given the technical specifications that we have. And once we do take it global, then there's a huge opportunity for even the developers that are working with us on native Indian content to take their experiences at a global scale.